Welcome to MLB Talk, New York's #1 baseball podcast. Now here's your hosts, Chris Pizzaya and Rob Maraska.
Welcome back to a new episode of MLB Talk with your hosts, Rob and Chris, covering the Mets, Yankees, and all of baseball. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter/X at NYMLB Talk. Rob at R Maraska, myself at CP7NY. So here we are. What's going on, Rob?
Hey, happy Memorial Day weekend, Chris. It doesn't feel like it because in New York, it's been almost like winter, actually. It's been nasty out.
Yeah, it's almost like a late fall day right now, right? 50 degrees, windy, cold, rain. So, but yeah, we need some better weather. So, but anyway, let's talk some baseball. Let's start with the Mets and Red Sox series. Let's get into that a little bit because it was very interesting. They ended up losing 2 games out of 3. What were your thoughts there?
Yeah, they weren't hitting those first 2 games after the loss on Sunday at Yankee Stadium. They weren't hitting. They just looked horrible. Soto, of course, getting caught looking all the time, not swinging the bat. I don't know what's going on. The whole lineup, though, let's face it, for the first 2 games of that Red Sox series, they were not hitting, leaving runners in scoring position again, just looking at strikes. They just looked dead. And, finally, at least they won the 3rd game. And listen, I was worried. That was Crochet versus McGill. And the way McGill's been playing, and pitching and Crochet, the way Crochet's been pitching, you're like, oh, this is going to be another one. But McGill stepped up and he had a really good game. And Brazenbon picked him up after, and he had a great game. So the Mets did win, finally won that game, and they're going home against the Dodgers tonight, with that 1 win. But it has not been pretty, Chris.
Yes, I agree. Jonathan, what's going on? Welcome back. I was surprised. Even that second game, when Buehler got knocked out, what was it in the 2nd inning when he got thrown out? Actually, not knocked out, but when he got thrown out, that was horrible by the umpire too. I mean, he actually went after him. That was very odd by the umpire. But I thought that was a game the Mets were going to win because now it's basically a bullpen game for them from the 2nd inning on. But they just couldn't get anything going, right? You guys got no runs that game. Yeah. And of course, we have to, address the 500-pound gorilla in the room here. Yeah. Once again, Juan Soto, they lowered him to 3rd in the order in that first game. And then he ended up taking 3 pitches right down the plate. He didn't even swing. So was that his way of saying, he's not comfortable batting 3rd? I don't know. I know he loves batting 2nd from the Yankees. I know that's what he always wanted to bat. It's strange. Like, what do you think? Like, obviously it's mental, but at some point, someone's got to slap him in his face and say, "All right, knock out. Just wake up. Let's go. It's time to go. It's time to start hitting. We paid you almost $800 million here. Let's go."
Yeah, right? It's what you signed the contract. It's the Mets up until the Red Sox series, the Mets were in first. Now Philly is 2 games ahead of the Mets. They just came out of nowhere again. And Atlanta was winning, but they lost 2 in a row. So Atlanta's Atlanta, but Acuna Jr. is coming back, right? So. Yep. You're gonna have to watch. You got to watch out for him because once Acuna Jr. comes back, boy, Atlanta is going to be good again. And we've said, Atlanta is going to be up there no matter what. Wherever they started, they're still going to be in it. It's going to be the Phillies, the Mets, and the Braves, definitely. But yeah, Soto, they moved them up to 3rd. like you said, when he was on the Yankees, he loved batting second. But, I guess Mendy had to do something. He had to show that he's doing something
Yeah.
because, just because, listen, we talked about this off the air. If Soto doesn't start hitting now, does he think Yankee Stadium was bad? Wait until Citi Field. Wait until the fans get sick of him there. And that's your home team. That's your home field. If they start going nuts on him, forget about it. But let's talk real quick. This is not the first time it's happened, okay? Lindor, his first year on the Mets, he really had a problem too. It took time. And now look at him. Lindor is the face of the Mets. It takes time. Piazza, when he came to New York, and he was talking about this too, I read it. He had the first year when he got traded was rough on him too.
I'm sure.
It was rough, but he came through and he loved New York. Listen, he went into the Hall of Fame wearing a Mets cap. So,
and you know what? And those guys didn't sign an $800 million or whatever we want to add to this contract, right? Nobody signed the largest contract in baseball history either, right? So, yeah, there is a lot of pressure on the guy.
Yes.
No excuse, but you know what? It's time to get going, and it's time to, start hustling if you have to, because you got to get going at some point offensively. And you know what? With him not hustling, it's not a good look for the team, for himself. He's kind of putting the manager in a bad spot, because what can the manager do, really? What can Mendoza go over to Soto, right? Think about it. What can that guy do? I mean, Mendoza's getting paid, what, $1 million, maybe $2 million on the season? Like, what can he say to Soto to really get him going? Oh, I'm going to bench you if you don't hustle. No, like someone's just got to talk to him man to man. Forget about it and just say, like, listen, just move on. Whatever your decision was, whoever helped you make the decision, it doesn't matter. You're here 15 years. Get over it. We need you. Like, you are our guy to get us going here offensively. So you got to get us going. So wake up.
I agree. Like maybe Lindor, someone. It's got to be a player. It's got to be a teammate who's making a lot of money. They have to talk to him. Tell him you're going to be the man here. They're going to love you. And everything's going to be all right. And it is. Once he starts hitting, we're going to stop having to talk about this, because, I'm getting tired of talking about this.
I'm getting tired of it too. Because he's going to start hitting, and we're going to, in a month's time or whatever, we're not even going to think about these first 2 months. We're going to be like, oh, look, he's hitting 300 and he's hitting all these home runs. Like, let me ask you this. Like, has this ever happened? Not this specific situation, but has it ever happened on the Mets that someone had to talk to a player? Like, if was Alonso that guy, or was Lindor that guy, to talk to someone? What did this ever happen in that someone had to talk to another player?
Well, not recently, but you remember Jason Bay, what a terrible contract that was. I'm sure somebody spoke to him. Okay. When George Foster came over as the Mets' first big free agent, and he signed the highest contract at that time, he had a terrible time too. So, I don't remember if somebody talked to him, but
like,
he was
recently,
another one,
right? I don't think anything happened like this recently.
Not recently, no. Jason Bay would be really the last one. Well, Lindor was, but I don't know if did DeGrom talk to him? I don't know, because DeGrom doesn't really seem like that type of guy. So I don't know. I think David Wright came in and talked to him and said, don't worry about it, if I remember correctly. But, he's just going to have to take a deep breath and just start hitting, and everything will be good. Enough of this crap already. I really think, and I didn't think it was going to, especially after the first game of that Yankee series. He looked all right. He was laughing. He was joking around. He tipped the cap. But I think that Yankee crowd really, really got to him.
Yeah. I think he was prepared for the booing, but maybe, like, did he expect it to, like, end at some point, and then eventually, the Yankee fans were going to, like, start to cheer him, or just stop? Because, listen, we only see him for 3 games at Yankee Stadium. So it's just a matter of, Yankee fans wanted to get everything they could at him in this series. Like, he may not get booed as much next year or the year after, or, in coming years. But I think the fans wanted to say, hey, listen, this is what we feel about you, because look what we did for you last year. Like, we loved you. You were beloved in the Bronx, and we were praying that you would sign with us and hope that you would sign with us. And then when you turned your back on us and signed with, the dreaded Mets or whatever, something that I don't think any Yankee fan really thought could possibly happen. But, it's a different world, right? The Mets got, Cohen as the owner, who's got, basically an unlimited bank account, and, plus he offered him all these extras, whatever. It is what it is. It happens. But Soto's got to move on. I think most Yankee fans have moved on, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Now, let's put the Red Sox series behind you for a second.
Okay.
Let's move on to the Dodgers. Right now, you got the Dodgers coming in Citi Field. For me, like, I was thinking about this today. For me, I think this is the series that could get Soto going, right? Because number one, just from him personally, the Dodgers beat him in the World Series last year, right? That's number one.
Right.
So, of course, he's got a little bit of vendetta going for that way. And the team, right, you guys got knocked out by the Dodgers in the NLCS. Yeah. So if there's a series, and not that he hits great against the Dodgers either, I looked it up. He doesn't hit great against them, and he doesn't hit great against Kershaw. But Kershaw's just coming back from the IL, So maybe he's still a little rusty. Maybe this is that game or this series that the switch goes on, right? Like, this is the game, this is the series that switch gets turned on for Soto, and he goes, all right, this is it. I'm gonna, like, what better matchup, to be honest, outside of the Phillies or a Braves series, would you think that it would get him going mentally? I think it's this one. So I think there's a good chance. I'm gonna say it. You might see, not you might. Let's say it this way. He's gonna do his Soto shuffle this weekend at some point.
I think you might be right there, Chris. And yeah, Jonathan Canning has been great for the Mets so far, and Kershaw had a bad first outing against the Angels last week, so he might still be a little rusty. So, hopefully this is going to be a good series. The Mets have something to prove. Soto has something to prove. So let's see what happens. If Canning could keep pitching like he's been pitching, I'm going to be happy. I wanted to say hello before we go on to our viewers on X. Now that we're on X, we just want to welcome you to the show. And if you could get in touch with us if you have any questions or if you wanted any comments or anything, hit
us up on Twitter for sure. And if you're in the chat watching us, hit that subscribe button and hit that like button for us. That's awesome. We'd love to see that. We'd love to see you guys come back and put comments up so we could, interact here. If you got any questions,
be part of the show.
Absolutely. That's what we're here for. So I think this is a big series for him. I really do. I know he's coming in slumping, and, he didn't do much in Boston or anything at all in Boston. He didn't hustle, whatever. But I think this is the one, right? Because he's going to have the fans. I'm sure the fans are going to give him a standing O, and they're going to cheer for him, right? Unless he really starts to not run anything out or something like that, or it's really awful, drops a ball in right field, whatever. But I think this is the series. I do. I really do. It's Memorial Day weekend. This is it. I think the switch is going to be turned on for Soto, and we're going to see the real Juan Soto finally this weekend.
Yeah, I hope so. And you know what? Yeah, it's a problem nowadays with not just Soto, with a lot of these guys. Alonso thought he hit one out at Fenway Park, and he didn't run either. These guys are watching home runs instead of hustling. You're getting all this money. Please just run it out.
Right. Is it that hard? It's sad, but we make a big deal about when these guys actually do run things out. It's so stupid, but when someone runs it out, you're like, wow, that guy was really, but we don't see it as often as you'd like, and Alonso's starting to, I don't want to say come down to earth, but the average is under 300 for the first time, right? Basically all season.
Definitely. So, and Chris, could these guys learn how to bunt a runner over? I mean, come on already, Acuna. I mean, these guys can't bunt. I know it's all about the home run or the extra base hits. Learn how to move runners over with a bunt, man.
How hard is that? How hard is it to bunt? Seriously.
I don't know. It seems like they're not practicing bunting or anything. I'm watching guys trying to bunt runners over, and it's like they're bunting over the pitch. They're missing it. They're hitting a foul ball. I mean, what's going on? I don't know what's going on in the major leagues with some
and you
of
would
these
think a guy like Acuna, Beatty, listen, what's his name? McNeil. All these guys should be able to bunt. I mean, they're not exactly offensive,
they're not power hitters
right now. Right. So if you could get on with a bunt or, like you said, move a guy over, do it. Just make it happen, especially when the team is struggling to score runs. Sometimes you bunt, you get the guy over, at least, all right, get the sac fly or get a ground out, something that sometimes that, gets the team going offensively. If you could score runs like that, sometimes you got to just make it happen, on the base pad, steal a base, something. But yeah, right now the team is not scoring. I mean, their last game, it was 5-1. That's great. If you can't lay down a bunt, you should be dropped down to AAA. I wish that was the way it is, but no, it's unfortunately, Rob said it's all about, launch angle, home runs, because they figured, hey, if you're going to bunt, you're giving away an at bat, right?
Yes, right.
That's their mentality.
But sometimes you need the bunt. That's it.
Right.
That's
like I said, especially when you're struggling. When the team is struggling, throw the bunt down and move the guy over. Or even if you're Acuna, he's got great speed. Sometimes you could beat it out for a base hit. Forget about bunting a guy over. Sometimes a bunt, a surprise bunt, especially sometimes it works. But different Major League Baseball now. Different
That's
game.
right. It is.
So but anyway,
what about the Yankees though, Chris?
Yeah. Hey, listen, sweep in Texas. I didn't really see that happening. I'll be honest. I figured 2 out of 3 would be nice. They took the first 2 games, pretty, the first game 5-2. Then the second game, they won with the walk-off with Jason Dominguez hitting his first career walk-off home run for us, which was awesome. And then the last game, it was Rodon and Evaldi. Great pitches duel. Evaldi made one mistake, giving up a home run to Vivas for his first career home run. And the bullpen ended up pitching the last 3 innings. Devin Williams, once again, was lights out. He's starting to look like, the guy that we, hope to get in the trade. He's starting to look good, which is a great thing, man, because Devin Williams was really bad for a while, but his last 7 games, no runs. He's only given up 2 hits in his last 7 games, walked 1, 10 Ks. So he's looking back to what he's been for his whole career. And if you remember a few shows ago, I put up the stats of his ERAs per month in his career. And in March and April were really bad. Not really bad, but just like, I think a 3 something, but the rest were all like 2s and 1s for his career. So this is it.
But Chris, I think, wait 1 second before you get to that. When he mowed down the Mets, all right, I think he started to get his confidence back, right?
Right.
What he did against Alonso, I think, he's and he's looked great since. So, go ahead, answer Jonathan there, Chris.
Are they the best team in baseball? I would, you know what? I'm going to say no. Well, they are the best, but no. No. I'll say this. To keep it honest, listen, them in Detroit, I think, are the best teams in the American League, right? The West, you got the Mariners playing really good, surprisingly. I think they're better than the Mariners, and I think Detroit's better than the Mariners. So I'm going to put Yankees and Detroit in the American League at least 1-2. The National League, you got a lot of good teams, right? The Phillies, the Mets, even though we did, take care of the Mets, we swept the Mets, but still.
Wait, what did you do to the Mets?
Excuse me, 2 out of 3 against the Mets. But I listen, I don't think they're the best team. They're absolutely one of the best teams, without a doubt. Top 5, I'll put them in the top 5 because the
Okay.
West, the Dodgers are banged up right now. Like right this second, do you really want to put the Dodgers as the number 1 team in baseball with all their injuries, especially in their rotation? Even in the bullpen, they're banged up a little bit too. So I'm really not sure, but I'll say they're top 5 for sure. Maybe top 3
Okay.
right now.
That's fair.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
fair.
wouldn't say number 1. Yeah, it's tough because Detroit's playing really good for right now too. So I think it's Detroit and the Yankees 1 and 2 in the American League, then Seattle, then the rest of the league. Because the rest of the league is really a mix of they could be good. Like I thought the Rangers were going to be so much better, but they do have some injuries too. But listen, every team's got injuries, right? We can mention every team down the line. I mean, look what's going on with Baltimore. You guys still got 2 of your starting pitchers out. Us too. We still got Hill out, and Cole is obviously out for the year. So, injuries are injuries. We still got Stanton out. We still got Jazz out. So it is what it is at this point.
Yeah, Chris, I wanted to ask you, what did you think about DeGrom's performance against the Yankees?
Yeah. Oh, he looks good. That was vintage DeGrom.
Yep.
He's throwing a couple of ticks slower, I would say, but he's still high 90s. He's still hitting like 97, 98 on the fastball. But he's still, listen, if this guy's healthy, he's one of the best pitchers in the game. Still,
yeah.
Yeah, yes. I would say, definitely, top 5 easily. Top 10 without a doubt, right? So, and that changes things for Texas, right? Because you got Evaldi there still, so that's still a really good team. Will they get going? I think Seager is still out for them, so maybe when he gets back, the offense could get going a little bit more because their offense. I think they've had the most games scored 2 runs or less.
Yeah,
I think they have the second most. I think Pirates are 1 and they're number 2. In the league, surprisingly, and you wouldn't think Texas would be a team that's not scoring runs, right? But they're there. So, but I mean, listen, sweeping the Rangers, I don't care, injuries or not, that's still impressive. And now they're heading off on a West Coast trip, and unfortunately, I don't even want to say it's fortunately that we're playing the Rockies, right? Because you know the deal. When you play a team that's really bad, you go in there like, oh, we're winning these games. There's no question, right? So you kind of let your guard down a little bit, and you end up fighting for your life in this 3-game series in Colorado. But hopefully they go in, and they take care of business like they should.
If they don't, Colorado, Chris, did you ever think you'd see a team in Major League Baseball? It's almost the end of May. They only have 8 wins.
8 wins, and we always compare them to the White Sox, right? At this point, after 50 games, right, the Rockies are 8-42. Take a guess what the White Sox were last year after 50 games. I don't know if I passed this to you.
I didn't see it. What? I don't even remember what.
I take a guess. How many wins do you think they have? They have at this point last year, the White Sox.
I think
the Rockies have 8.
About 12.
15.
Okay, 15.
They were 15-35 after 50 games.
Okay.
So think about how bad the Rockies are. If the White Sox, I think at that point we were already talking like, oh, they might be breaking a record, right? The White Sox might be breaking a record or going after the Mets, right? So
and now the Rockies may be breaking a record. And TBK,
destroy it.
Yeah, we agree with TBK. They need to do something in Baltimore, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, they're we talk about it. Their pitching is a mess, and now their lineup is, what it is too. They have a young team, a young lineup, and now all the pressure's on them, right? Because they got to score runs. They got to score 5, 6, 7 runs a game. And when you put pressure on a young lineup like that, this is what's going to happen. They're going to struggle, right? So it's really a bad situation. I'm just curious to see what they do at the trade deadline. Because they gotta, if they don't get any kind of momentum going into July, I would think they're going to sell off some pieces, right? Mullins, I think, is a free agent after this year, so he would be a guy, and that's a guy that I think the Mets would be looking at, right? Because the Mets could use a center fielder, right? So we'll see.
I think you're right, but we agree with you, TBK. until they change that front office. Something changes in that front office, because they should have brought in a couple of veterans. Okay, what they did in the offseason, we've said it time and time again, really they did nothing. They just brought in an old man to pitch. That basically is what they did.
Yeah, no, it is. It's really not good, man. Because you know what, they let Burns walk. Not that they let him walk. They did offer him a lot of money per season,
Yeah.
but I think it was only a 4-year deal. And obviously, I think he wanted to go back to Arizona, or not back to it, but he wanted to go to Arizona. But they should have at least matched the offer and just made at least made a better effort to sign him. Right? You don't just let your ace walk out the door. And I don't want to say lowball him, because they did offer him more money per year than Arizona, but they only gave him 4 years. I mean, look what the Yankees did with Fried, right? So, I mean, I don't know. I thought that was really bad on their part. And to replace him with Charlie Morton, who's 41 years old. I mean, respect to him a lot. Trust me, to last this long as a starter in Major League Baseball, God bless him. He had a great career, but that's not the guy you want to replace. Your ace with.
So the Yankees should go into Colorado and just, slay the Rockies. But like you said, anything could happen. Anytime you say we're going to go in there, we're going to take care of this team, anything could happen. They're still a Major League Baseball team, no matter what, right?
Right. You can't take them lightly. You can't, the deal. You can't take any team lightly in this league, because like you said, it's still a Major League team. As bad as they are and as horrible as they are, you got to take advantage of them. And you can't go in there thinking, oh, yeah, we're going to win 3. It's no big deal. No, you got to go in there, because you know what? After that, you got 2 of the best teams coming at you after that, right? You got to go to the Angels, who have just won, 7 straight games. So they're like the hottest team in baseball right now. Yeah. And then after that, it's the Dodgers. So it's a rematch of the World Series. So these are the games you got to win, because then you got 6 games after that are going to be really tough games for you to win, right? The Angels are always tough against us anyway in Anaheim. And then, of course, the Dodgers, that's the series you'd love to take at least 2 out of 3 there against them, especially after losing the World Series. So I'm looking forward to that next week. But
And on the Mets side, Chris, okay, they have LA, right? But after LA, they have the White Sox and Colorado. So they have to, do some work. They got to take advantage of that. You're right. I mean, if they blow it against Chicago and Colorado, then forget it. It's going to just be crazy at Citi Field. But now they're at Citi Field, where for the most part they've just been almost unbeatable. So that's good. It's good that they're coming back home, and we'll just see what happens. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to the series against the Dodgers.
Yeah, no, me too. It's a series I wanted to check out, because, like I said, I really think it's going to be the series that turns the switch on for Soto and gets him going offensively, gets that brain of his not thinking about whatever he's thinking about to do this. So, Dodgers Mets 7 games in the next 2 weeks. So big games for them, because it's a good test, a good litmus test for themselves. Are they that good? Right. And also for the Dodgers too, right? They got to listen. They're right now. How many guys do they have on the IL pitching wise? Right. They have 2 or 3 of their starters out. So I think it's a big series for both. I'm sure the Dodgers ain't coming here, thinking, oh, man, I don't think we could win this series. I'm sure they're coming in to want to take 2 out of 3 against the Mets, just to kind of say, no, you're still not better than us, right? You're still not going to beat us in the playoffs, so forget it, right? So they still want to keep that going. So I'm looking forward to this series for sure.
Yeah, me too.
16 pitches. Thank you, Jonathan. 16 pitches on the IL. That is crazy.
It is crazy throughout the organization.
And they're still in first place.
Yep. Right? Hey, they're the Dodgers.
That just shows you what kind of team they have.
Yeah. Now, we didn't get a chance to talk about Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson and the other guys from the Black Sox being reinstated into baseball. And, they'll be able to be voted into the Hall of Fame, I guess, by I don't know how that's
veterans. I think it's
by the Veterans Committee. Yeah,
and that's going to be in 2 years. and I think the big thing with that is first they have to announce who's going to be on that committee.
Yes,
right.
That's right.
And then they have to announce if who's going to be put on, the list of players, who's going to get elected in, who's going to be voted on to be elected in. And I think 12 of the 16 have to vote yes to get the guy in. I think it is right. I think there's 16 members of this committee, changes all the time. So I think it comes down to be honest, like who's going to be on that committee, right? Because we've seen veteran players. I think Johnny Bench, his own teammate, was, I think, adamant about him not being in the Hall of Fame, right?
That's right.
And I think Joe Morgan, they really, I know, not that he's alive, but
no, he's not alive. But they didn't get along. Bench and Rose didn't get along. Bench didn't like the way Rose,
It's an interesting debate. I'll be honest. You know what? He still did what he did, right? He still bet on baseball, which is like the absolute worst thing you could do for baseball, at least, right? So it's the worst thing. So he still did all that, no matter what, even if he's reinstated. It doesn't take away what he did, right, to get him suspended in the first place. And then, of course, the other stuff that came out about him having a relationship with an underage girl, that was never great either. Listen, for the way he played the game, absolutely he's an instant Hall of Famer. So there's no debate, obviously, right? I mean, the guy's a hit leader, great player, played at multiple positions and all-stars at multiple positions, all that. Yeah, if you're only counting his playing days, yes, he's an automatic instant Hall of Famer. I agree. The one thing I'm happy about that this has happened is that at least he's going to be judged now, right? Now he's going to be judged by a panel of 16 instead of a full panel of voters, but at least it's 16 people, whoever they may end up being. I'm happy that at least he's going to have his time to be discussed, because he's never had that moment on the ballot, right, or on any ballot.
Do you think that they waited for him to pass away before they did this?
That's a possibility. I'll be honest. Because of the checkered past that he had off, with the betting and the other stuff, I think so. That's a very good possibility. I think you might be right. I mean, I can't get in their head, but that's the way it looks, right? I mean, what was it, 2 months? Or how many months did he pass away? And they reinstated him, right? So,
but Chris, see, here's the thing that might change people somewhat. Okay, of course, the worst sin in baseball is to bet on baseball, throw games, whatever. All right, but now we see pregame, postgame, in the middle of the game, everything is,
bet on baseball.
DraftKings, tonight, the odds, and they give the odds on the bets if the Mets are going to win, if the Yankees are going to win, so is that hypocritical? It's all about money. Is it hypocritical now that it's sponsored by these like DraftKings or any of the betting places?
You could look at it that way. Absolutely. I'm not going to say no, but it's still, it's still wrong. It's still a rule for the players not to gamble, right? So it's still the same from the players aspect. Obviously we could bet on it now, or at least most states do. There are some states that don't allow it still, but it's still a tough subject, even with him being reinstated. And, should he be inducted now? I mean, thank God I'm not on that panel, because it's tough. It's really tough. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The Ohtani, that was squashed. Remember, that was squashed.
Yes.
That was proven that it wasn't him, and it was, the interpreter. Listen, it's dirty. Either way, that was dirty.
And then it's right now, it's like it never happened. They don't talk about it anymore. Swept under the carpet. It makes you think.
Absolutely. And sure, because think about it. That's Major League Baseball's golden goose right now is Ohtani, right? Internationally, this guy's known everywhere. So, I mean, who's a bigger name in baseball than him internationally? I don't think anybody is.
No one is. Right. Exactly. And it's just, and like, and real quick, I want to bring up Shoeless Joe Jackson. All right, supposedly they threw the World Series. They did. The team did. But
Yes.
I just think he wasn't intelligent enough to know what's going
Right.
on, because he had a great World Series.
Yes, he did.
He had a great World Series. He probably could have been MVP of that World Series if his team didn't throw it. So I don't know what to think about him. We weren't around them. We just know what we read and the movies we've seen and the books and newspaper accounts. So
Listen,
that's another thing.
The year that happened, 1919,
yeah,
he batted 375, and he had a 956 OPS.
Okay.
He was 12 for 32, right? 3 doubles, a home run, 6 RBIs. So I don't think he threw it.
Yeah. How was he throwing it away? All those doubles, a home run. So that's why you just, that is another thing. That's kind of fishy. But all right, we'll see what happens with Pete Rose and with Shoeless Joe Jackson.
It's not for another 2 years, I think. I think it's in right. So that's the other thing. Like, we have two more years to probably debate this. And sure
we will.
Yes, and we will, exactly, because baseball is the debate capital of sports, I think, in everything. So,
I think so too.
Right? Yeah. Right. So I think it'll be endless debates on Pete Rose. And listen, and if you guys, you got all the people in the chat right now, if you guys ever want to debate anything, without a doubt, join us one day, come on the show, and not just in the comments.
In the
come
chat.
on the show, we'll set something up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just hit that subscribe button. Like we said, hit the like button. You could follow us on Twitter /X at CP7NY, at R Maraska, at NYMLB Talk. Hit us up in one of those spots. We'll get back to you and we'll get on.
Right.
So
yeah. And we love guests coming on. We love we love people getting involved. Chris, before we go on to other things, I just wanted to ask you a question or just get your opinion. We found out that the kid who fell out of the stands in Pittsburgh, and it's not funny, someone was arrested for buying him beer and liquor, someone of age. So now we know what's going to happen. There's going to be lawsuit. The guy got arrested, so they could sue him. But they're going to get an attorney who's going to sue the Pirates, who's going to sue the stadium, and who's going to try to sue the vendor.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to, that, the deal, you know how all this stuff works, right? It just, oh, you're going to sue me. Okay, we'll sue this guy. And then that guy's, oh, you're going to sue me and we'll sue him. So yeah, it's going to get ugly for sure. Listen, and if the Pirates are involved, we made a joke about it, but it's probably sad if they get involved and it's a big, and it's a big process and big money starts coming up, because the kid was young. So I'm sure there's going to be big figures coming out about him being, in this process. So if that does, do you think the Pirates are going to go out there and start spending money on free agents? This is just
they don't spend money.
It's an excuse for not to spend money. So yeah, it's sad. It really is sad. It's just, it's just a really sad situation. Like you said, it's not funny. But yeah, I'm sure there's going to be more than one party involved in this process, right? Because like you said, the guy who bought him the beer, the guy who sold that guy the beer, the team, the stadium, whatever, if they're all connected, they're all going to get sued. So it's going to get ugly before it ends, for sure.
Yeah, it is going to get ugly. And it's just, people just have to use their brains. And, one stupid move could wreck your life. And this kid's life already is wrecked. Falling out of those stands and the injuries that he's lucky he's alive. But, it's just sad when this stuff happens.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm with you on that. Earlier this week, The Athletic, and they voted on the all quarter century team. We were thinking about it today in a couple of days.
Yeah.
We kind of made our own list. The all century team, I'll put it up here so people could see it, and we'll talk about it. All right. We got it, right? Okay.
Yeah,
So that's the
there
one
it
that was voted on by
Okay.
the one that Jason Starks did for The Athletic. They did a fan vote, and then he made his own. So this is what Jason Stark put up.
Okay.
All right. So let's go through it. At catcher, who do you got at catcher?
I have Molina.
Okay.
Who do you have?
You know what? Two other names came to mind.
Okay. I know one of them played for the Twins.
That was my guy.
Right.
I'll be honest, because
Okay.
I think Mauer doesn't get the credit because he did
I
have to switch
agree.
to first base. But listen, before he switched to first base, I mean, he was in the discussion for best player in the league, let alone best
I
catcher,
agree.
right? So
Right.
that was my guy. The other guy you could put up there, I think Buster Posey for sure, right?
Yeah,
Rings.
But I pick Molina because of his longevity. He did it much longer, and and for most of that he was hitting, and he was and forget it, he threw out more guys than the other guy. So that's why I put Molina. It's close, but I don't think Posey. Posey played a lot less. But listen, Posey has the world championships too with the Giants.
Yeah, exactly. That means a lot. First base, I think, was easy, right?
Right.
I mean, the only other guy that comes close, and it's not even close, is Cabrera, maybe Miguel Cabrera.
Yeah, Pujols runs away with that at first.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, unless your name is Lou Gehrig, I don't think we're talking about anybody at first base.
No.
Second base, I did not take Altuve. So
I did. Tell me who you took and why you didn't take Altuve.
You know what? I wrote down Utley, but I knew that was going to upset all the Met fans. So I was like, you know what? Let me keep it. So I you know who I went with? I know he did the steroids, but I took Robbie Cano, man. Listen, before he took all that stuff, his numbers were ridiculous for second base. You're talking about one of the greatest second basemen, but unfortunately, he did test positive after whatever year it was. But until he did, I mean, he was putting up, great numbers for a second baseman. So that was my guy.
Yeah, but he did it. He did it more than once. He got suspended more than once. So I didn't. I picked Altuve because listen, he All-Star, two-time World Series, MVP in 2017. Right now he has 2,280 hits around there. Career 304 batting average. That's why I took it. I think he deserved it. Cano, unfortunately, he messed everything up with the steroids. So that's the only reason why I go with that. All right, I know what.
I mean, think about his numbers, right? 8-time All-Star, World Series champ,
I know.
5-time Silver Slugger, All-Star MVP, 2-time Gold Glove.
No, you're right.
Career 301 batting average, 335 career home runs. That's great for a second baseman, but
it definitely is.
Yeah.
If he didn't, the steroids though, and the suspensions, but not like I don't have somewhere on my list someone else with steroids. So we'll talk about that.
Right. That's what I mean. If I got one, I got to put this guy.
You're right.
Shortstop.
We know who you picked.
Right.
I picked the same guy you picked. I picked Jeter. Right. How could you not pick Jeter?
Listen, you could take Lindor. I wouldn't have been upset.
But
Lindor's got.
But it's not. But Lindor hasn't played long enough, so that's why I didn't pick Lindor. I had to pick Jeter, even though it killed me to pick Jeter. Right. But I had to. He just speaks for himself. Lindor, give me a couple more years, and then I could switch that. But I picked Jeter too.
All right, third base.
Who did you pick for third?
I went Chipper Jones.
Me too. Even though that killed me more. That killed me more than Jeter, believe me.
Yes, I know.
But
I know.
He's the
himself.
Met killer. Listen, Met killer, but he did name his daughter Shay because he loved hitting at Shay. So, but I had to pick Chipper Jones. I hated Chipper Jones, of course, but what are you going to do? I'm not when it comes to this stuff, I'm not a homer because, you can't just pick a Met or you can't just pick a Yankee. You have to go with the stats. So, I agree with you there.
All right. What about left field?
Left field, that's the steroid guy that I picked. Bonds. I mean, I don't know. Did you pick Bonds too?
Yeah, I did because, and you know what? It wasn't. You got to remember, it's only from 2000 on, right?
Yeah,
But
right.
2000 was the year that he really started to hit home. Like really put up the crazy numbers, right? 2000,
Right.
he hit 49 and 106, and then he went 73 home runs the next year. Then he went 46, 45, and 45. I know it's only 5 years, but those 5 years are ridiculous, right? So
They are, yeah.
Listen, so I had to put Bonds there.
Because before the steroids and everything, Bonds was still a great hitter. So
yeah,
I agree with you there. Okay, who do you got for center field?
Center field, I went with Trout also because
Me too.
Yeah, you got to remember from 2000 on was Griffey that great, right? After Let me look. What was the year that he went to?
When he went to the Reds, Cincinnati.
Yeah, what year did he go? Was it 2000? Because that's when he just started to get. Yeah, that was his first year.
Yeah.
And that's what we're counted on with the all-century team, right?
Yeah.
All-quarter century team.
Quarter-century team.
So you're going by his numbers from 2000 to 2025, right? So
right.
And remember his years from Cincinnati. He was just hurt almost every year.
Yeah.
And he just, it was sad because that was a guy that was, he could have broke the home run record. This is one of those guys that could have did it, but too much.
And remember, Griffey blocked a trade to the Mets was it 99 or 2000? Remember at the trade deadline, he
remember that
he blocked the trade to the Mets. He did not want to play for the Mets, so that's
I know he didn't want to play for the Yankees.
Yeah, no, he didn't want to play for the Mets either. All right, so listen, we agree with center field. I agree with Mike Trout. Although, isn't it unbelievable that Trout has only played one postseason game in his career?
Yeah, it's sad. I think one series, not one game.
Yeah, I mean one series. I'm sorry, one series. Yeah,
but yeah, it's and he's gonna go down as one of the greatest what if stories. As great as he is, and he's gonna be a first ballot Hall of Famer and all that. But we're gonna talk about a guy that he's still gonna be a what if, right? Because now he's at 387 home runs. Think about it. If he didn't get hurt as much, he'd be, we'd be talking about him at, close to 500 now.
Yeah. We'd be waiting to see when he hit his 500 home run. That's
easily,
we'd have the 500 to watch.
And he would easily get to 600 if he was healthy all his career. But
I think so. Okay. So that's a shame with Mike Trout, but yeah, I pick him for center field too. All right. Right field. We're probably going to agree.
Yes, we're probably going to agree.
I had to pick another Yankee. Yes.
Oh my God, it's so hard.
But how could you not pick Aaron Judge? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, like I said before, I can't be a homer with these things. I can't, Judge, who you have to pick Judge there. That's all I got to say. In the past half century, you got to pick Aaron Judge.
The only other guy, maybe Ichiro in right field, right? I mean, he had a great career.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. He was great, but I still think you got to pick Judge.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you.
It kills me. So that's our position players we have.
Well, and DH, what about DH? Who do you got at DH? You got Ortiz?
Yeah, I have Ortiz, of course.
I just went Ohtani because he's Ohtani.
I know he's Ohtani, but it hasn't been long enough. I mean, you can't disrespect Big Papi like that.
I know. But he disrespected us a lot of times. So
yeah, I know. When
I get a chance to, no, I'm kidding.
I know.
Listen, Ohtani, this is only his 8th year. Those career numbers are not there yet, but I just thought Ohtani was, exactly. I just thought Ohtani, with the stealing bases and all that, and that to and the pitching. Whenever he does end up pitching, that's another thing. That's a good debate too, because they're talking about him working out, trying to work his way back to pitching. I think at this point, I wouldn't make him pitch this year, right? Because you can't send him out on a rehab assignment, right?
Yeah, I agree. He's got to play because he's got to hit,
right? So I think. I'll be honest. I wouldn't make him pitch this year. I would hold off on him until next season This way he has a whole spring training,
Yep.
gets ready, and then boom. Then you figure out, every fifth day and whatever, and DHing and all that. So that's just my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
I
probably
agree
wrong.
with you too. No, I agree with you too. Wait until spring training, give them the off season and then give them spring training and then, next year, because you're right. When they need his bat, so they can't send him down. Yeah, I think they should wait. Dude, what's the point in not waiting anyway?
Yeah.
Just wait. So, all right. So that was good. That was fun. If anyone else, if anybody disagrees with us and, they have any other players that they think they should be on the list, just get in touch with us, and we could talk about it. We could debate.
Yeah, definitely. Drop it in the comments or just send us a message on Twitter, X/X. And we'll definitely, because this is a great debate because it's the quarter century. And like you said, with Bonds, you're not talking about his whole career. You're only talking about from 2000 on.
Yeah.
And yeah, those were his big years. But, it's only those 5 or 6 years that he played before he got, before the end of his career. So, and Trout, we know, but it's really an interesting conversation for sure.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
Great. So you got anything else for us, Chris, before we close the show?
I don't think so. I think that's about it. I think we covered everything we wanted to cover. I think we're good. Just, hey, listen, if you're still in the chat, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button for us. If you want to follow us on Twitter/X, hit us up there at NY MLB Talk, at R Maraska for Rob, for myself at CP7NY. Otherwise, I think we're done here.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention one thing. If you guys haven't seen our previous show with Chauncey Hayden, go to YouTube and check it out. It was really a great show. Yeah, we're getting great reviews. Everybody has loved. It was a lot of fun, Chris. Everybody loves that interview.
Keep your ear and eye out for the Don Mattingly interview. So
yeah, that was really good. But we'll be back Monday at 3 with our regular Monday show, and we'll let you know about shows after that. So, Chris, have a great Memorial Day weekend. Everybody out there, have a great weekend.
Enjoy the games.